Good day my fellow Riskians. I am Captain Top Hat Man. I am here to present you with the news for the last time this year. As you all know, there has been a lot of drama we will be covering in this video, so there will be timestamps provided if you want to skip it. Some topics covered in this video isn't suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is advised. Now let's begin. Wait, what is that noise? A lot has happened, as you can gather from that. And I hope you can see why I warned you guys beforehand. I will now begin with the start of this, where there will be chapters below. Chapter 1, Omnarch. We begin with an announcement from Riskord, where Saint and SALTBEAR announced that Omnarch will be blacklisted from Risk due to stealing IU4's assets. In response, Pods had launched an investigation into Omnarch to see whether it was stealing code or not from IU4. Pods had announced in the Omnarch server.
Hey guys. Many of you know that I launched an independent investigation on Omnarch to verify if Omnarch was stealing IU4 assets. This investigation concluded, and despite getting very close to a deal for both sides to apologize, it fell through because of malicious action by SALTBEAR to purposefully continue the drama for self-gain. As a result, I have decided to publicly release all evidence that I've collected, as well as additional evidence that SALTBEAR purposefully wants to cause drama between Risk and Omnarch. This document also contains additional information on SALTBEAR's ongoing takeover of Risk from Amnesty and Amnesty's alternate account.
Within the document, it contained evidence and proof to back his claims, showing both Risk's and Omnarch's codes as evidence, in which you can see that section for yourself, as I don't cover Omnarch on this channel. But I will cover everything else relating to Risk, starting with attempted negotiations by both sides.
After showing the evidence in the Unless and Code evidence, Unless MISC evidence, review of Omnarch's code, and Piously tabs, Saint, while he was still head admin, was willing to negotiate with Omnarch. As a result, Saint, Zenvox, SALTBEAR, and I created a group chat. SALTBEAR refused to talk with us for the majority of the time, which will be explained later, so obviously, we talked with Saint. The below screenshots are our conversation.
This is the part where SALTBEAR intervenes.
After that, he says nothing, including today as I'm writing this document. This is despite him talking in staff club and doing other things, such as promoting admins. He is supposedly busy with exams, but as I will show you later, this is just a guise. The next day, he simply closes the door for him to talk with Zenvox only, so he can retain control of the conversation. Again, we will discuss why later.
We will now move on to the next part of this document, which documents SALTBEAR stalling and lying.
After attempting to make a deal with Omnarch and Risk, see the previous section, SALTBEAR stalled us. Ironically, this isn't the first time this has happened. The ban of the announcement was the 10th, and Zenvox was trying to speak with him since then. I started talking with SALTBEAR and Saint on the 12th, and it took me until the 14th to get a response out of either of them. Yes, people have lives, I understand that, but this is a crucial situation where a whole community got banned on this game. It deserves an immediate response if the evidence used to justify this is proven false. And you might be wondering, well, clearly, SALTBEAR is just busy. No, this is not the case. Take a look at these messages between Saint and SALTBEAR, where it shows SALTBEAR purposefully planning to stall against any deals to try and control the narrative.
Screenshot A, SALTBEAR stalling for Zenvox to post a document.
So, SALTBEAR didn't immediately negotiate and ignored responses from Zenvox and I because he wanted to play tactical. This is, again, despite knowing the evidence they're using to justify this is questionable and incomplete. But the part of this screenshot I want you to take note of is this. Is controlling the narrative the words of someone who is being honest with their intentions, or is this the words of someone who's trying to get what they want?
Screenshot B, SALTBEAR admitting to ghosting.
First, let's focus on the meat of this screenshot. This one is a big one. Essentially, SALTBEAR admits to ghosting us because he is working on exams, when in reality, he has only been stepping in when convenient. For example, in the last section, he stepped in when we were about to make a deal with Saint to stall the issue further. Next, let's take a look at this. This is SALTBEAR plotting to swoon over Omnarch devs to leave them with nothing. These aren't words that someone would use who wants to make compromise between two games. Additionally, as you saw in the evidence, I never said Risk doesn't have Blink, because literally one of the screenshots of evidence is Blink configuration files that RU4 has. I said Risk uses custom networking that uses Blink, as shown by the use of custom networking modules in the evidence.
Screenshot C, SALTBEAR gets pissed off at leaking.
For context, this document is the document Zenvox initially planned to release to Omnarch. It has likely since been changed. This is the full quote. That's because SALTBEAR-SAINT are relying on Unless. Unless provided no substantial evidence, and it's clear that it's an erratic move by blacklisting a competitor game without proper dialogue. A Risk dev has told me his opinion that this is a personal attack by SALTBEAR-SAINT and I agree with him, especially since as Mark has also explained, the tactics are very familiar to how other RP groups have been pressured or killed before. In other words, SALTBEAR is threatening to find this mole and take his brain out of his, because he's raging that he's right about him, LMAO.
Screenshots D, SALTBEAR stalling further.
This was after Saint saw my evidence in full. He realized that he was wrong and pleaded with SALTBEAR to do something, but of course, he didn't. If the screenshots above don't indicate enough, he wanted to stall so that they look morally better instead of just making a deal, apologizing, and moving on. SALTBEAR is a person who wanted to continue this conflict for self-gain. He also hid the evidence of Omnarch leaking RU4 assets from the public instead of directly confronting Zenvox about it, because he likely knows it's not strong enough evidence, and it's additionally evidence from Unless.
We now move on to the next chapter of this document, SALTBEAR's coup.
Context. This drama comes at a time of particular relevance. SALTBEAR is in the process of taking over Risk. These are his recent actions to do this. He took ownership of the Risk org because Amnesty did not log on to his Discord account in a month. He created a new development group to control who becomes developer. He has funneled Risk Game Pass funds into a new development group owned by him. The first two isn't new news and I won't be going over that, but the latter is. Here is proof of SALTBEAR telling Saint to transfer Game Pass funds to the new group.
Screenshots now provided.
Saint refused to do it, which resulted in his recent resignation. Luna went through with this and put the Game Passes on the new group, which everyone will be prompted to buy if they do not have it. I will be fair and say that Amnesty having control of the funds has been a hindrance in properly paying developers due to inactivity, and I have always been pro-kicking out Amnesty in place of a new owner. But this has all been done silently, without properly informing the community, though he has offhandedly mentioned it, and without informing Amnesty of anything. Days before this Omnarch and Risk shit hit the fan, I had even talked with SALTBEAR about it.
Here is the screenshots provided.
This is because I respected SALTBEAR. I was the one who really vouched for him to be promoted to executive, which led to where he is now. I have all the reason to be pro-Risk on this issue because of this. I really believed he could make Risk a better place again. However, this piece of drama has led me to believe that he isn't fit for this position any longer. If he truly cared about Risk, he would be informing the community of his actions to do this. And if he goes against my back as a former executive and as the one who promoted him, who's to say that anyone else won't be next? And considering his response against this situation and his focus on Risk politics instead of the actual game itself, do you trust him to properly handle Risk's income?
We now move on to the next and final chapter of this document, Amnesty's alt.
So, where's Amnesty in all of this? This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the drama, but it deserves to be known. A lot of people think Amnesty is gone from Roblox. Truth be told, he's not. He's simply on an alt because he wants nothing to do with Risk. So, if it wasn't obvious enough, the owner of Risk is neglecting Risk because he's tired of dealing with it. Yet at the same time, he holds on to the group. I personally feel bad for him and I don't blame him, he deserves a lot more than to deal with this. I personally wouldn't blame him if he came on, got the rest of Risk's money, and left, because ultimately, this community and this game is here because of him.
Now that is the end of that document. In summary, it exposes SALTBEAR for lying and stalling in dealing with Omnarch, as well as showing where enmity has been throughout all of this. The document just shown happened all on the 16th of December, now we move on to the 17th of December, where Saint is banned from Risk with the banishment message of doxing a member of the community. Afterwards it is reported that joined the Omnarch server and became a developer. Chapter 2, a document has hit the first tower. Welp, you thought the first chapter was going to be long? Get ready for the next 3 chapters. Now let's begin. On the 19th of December, Nerula released a document exposing SALTBEAR and Saint for much stuff and in which we will be covering now. Also to note, viewer discretion is majorly advised in this chapter. Let's begin.
This essay is an exposed document on what SALTBEAR has done during his tenure as executive. This is corroborated with his nepotistic head administrator Saint from PR, and all evidence will be attached in subsections accordingly, much if not most of it will be from the leaked direct messages of SALTBEAR and Saint themselves. This document goes over many things, Saint saying he'd admin and admin-ile, nepotism, hiring people who sent to minors, conspiracy to demote numerous members of the Risk Universalis community, nuke threats, drama, embezzlement of group funds, extreme slander, how both SALTBEAR and Saint have been working with Unless, and what SALTBEAR really thinks of his peers. Some of the people attacked by them will also be heavily covered, such as Nerula, Zenvox, Albert, Maze, and Zenvox, with the case of Omnarch. This document serves to prove how SALTBEAR has played Risk for a fiddle. He cares for nobody and only cares for public opinion, while using others to his own expense and cementing his and his own friends' rise to power. Eventually, one of his friends, Saint from PR, would have enough of being SALTBEAR's dog.
I will cover the first tab, second, third and so forth. First tab I will be covering is nepotism.
This area of the document serves to nepotism shown by SALTBEAR, helping his friends, Saint from PR, evade punishment on numerous occasions even when completely warranted. More examples are shown where he tries to place allies in positions of power. Keep in mind those that are discussed below to be put into power don't just mean they are completely nepotized, the ones with conclusive evidence of nepotism are on Saint himself. Figure 1. Saint posts a gore video of someone dying in Risk. Saint suggests a staff warning, and SALTBEAR rejects this because he's already on 1 out of 2 since Saint is his friend. Figure 2. Saint destroys a public server but walks away without punishment after another admin has to clean up after him. He then implies nepotizing Zakona, also known as Shitska, as a result. Below, we can see Nerula advocates for a staff warning on Saint. SALTBEAR is hesitant and says he'll staff warn Saint, and remove it later, and make sure he's not already on 1 out of 2, so that he is not demoted. Here, SALTBEAR lays out his plan with Saint for staff warning him. He tells him to feign being upset, and then instructs Saint to demote Maze, Nerula, and Gamerguy after the warning. Below, he further discusses his game plan, conspiring to keep them banned and cut off all communication thereafter. Afterward, they intend to gain public opinion with soothing statements, false confessions, and lies. SALTBEAR calling Saint untouchable, and that he protects him. Saint directly mentioning that he is SALTBEAR's nepo baby. SALTBEAR talking about a possible successor of Saint to nepotize, as Saint intended to resign soon at that point in time. Saint speaking about his nepotistic promotions, and deliberating who to nepotize next. More discussion about above-related nepotism. Saint also remarks that it's stupid to overlook an individual on administrator over Minecraft beef. SALTBEAR saying he wouldn't nepotize a developer, Luna, if Saint didn't want it. SALTBEAR moving back to playing politics, making key promotions for people he considers allies, with Saint suggesting individuals. Discussing the promotions of Retel and Drogos as they consider them allies, while looking for more individuals of the pro-amnesty lobby. Keep in mind this does not directly mean Retel and Drogos are bad individuals, they are subjected to political chess moves by SALTBEAR and Saint. SALTBEAR-SAINT said individuals can be disposed of afterwards. Like Rettel, Drogos, extification. Saint remarking to SALT to find out which DMs Omnarch intends to use in their document that they purport is demotion-worthy, with Saint remarking that if it's the 15-year-old girl he had spoken to, we're screwed.
Now with nepotism out of the way, I'm going to skip the unless affiliation, as I can just simplify it here, they got played by unless. Anyways, I'm going to move on to weirdo behavior tab now. Please note that these are accusations and not facts and are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, so do not go and harass them. Anyways, I'll begin.
Talking about an administrator, and her face leaks. Saint exhibits weird behavior by asking if she's hot. Why are you even speaking about a 15-year-old girl on her period? Saint confesses the manner he spoke in was vehemently sexist. I swear to Lord, we even got the if she's 18 plus I can slide in the DMs message. But it get worse, Saint had said if admin name asked me to meet up in England too. I would, admin name too. If this convo ever leaks we're both so dead.
Now moving on to the new tab or chapter in this, gross incompetence.
This section goes over gross incompetence of SALTBEAR and Saint in key examples given. Below, we can see SALTBEAR mad at Saint for creating preventative measures against spoof squad raids that were exploiting on the Risk Universalis map. The screenshots provided. Saint tells SALTBEAR that if the Omnarch doc is received badly by the community, to demote him and he'll work in development secretly. Talking about Cat, a former Risk developer. For many reasons, I won't share the full text as it goes over extreme and personal information. But I will share the most concerning bits and that she still was hired. She sent to person, a minor, and sent to SALT?
We now move on to the tab of chat staff.
This section goes over the sheltering of an administration, the chat staff, mainly how both have treated and how they feel of individuals, like Elva, Albert, Maze, Xander, etc. A lot of what I see is that SALTBEAR and Saint heavily resents the chat staff, shit-talking most of them heavily in direct messages. They make fun of Elva, Albert, Maze, and Xander. Making fun of a person and a disorder he has. More of them being pissed off at chat staff. Talking horrible about a person, calling him a sycophant. SALTBEAR calling Xander disloyal. The context of this is when Nerula, Maze, and Gamerguy were banned. SALTBEAR wanted to hide his involvement, and Saisi remarked DW, executive approved. This clearly shows SALTBEAR only cares about loyalty and subservience to him. Saint talking horribly about Albert, SALTBEAR concurring and saying he can avoid Albert. We can see Saint and SALTBEAR pissed that Albert told Nerula that SALTBEAR intended to reject Nerula's appeal. SALTBEAR wants to cover up his involvement. The Riskord commissioners are told to stall the appeal. Saint's personal beef with Albert. Saint implying Elva is a SALTBEAR and Saint wanting to ban numerous individuals that are friends of Maze simply because they voted no on a poll.
We now move on to the second last tab, terrible behavior.
This segment of the document is about prominent community members who are also targeted by SALTBEAR and Saint with a lot of the stuff they said. Slandering Nerula with our jokes. Saying Afghans, Nerula, gays, Drenger, dad of 3, Ferris, ruined Risk. Blatantly racist against KMD and Helleblue. SALTBEAR told the RCs, Albert and Elva, to drag on Nerula's appeal. This was likely done to Maze and Gamerguy as well. Saint and Salt pissed off at Tpex, in a situation where it looks like Nerula disagrees with an RP bid for reverse clocks. Tpex possibly agrees with him and they both are pissed from it.
Now finally, the last tab, Saint's resignation.
Saint, tired of being SALTBEAR's pawn and taking the blame for everything, banning Maze, Nerula, Gamerguy, finally had enough and resigned. This came with a lot of other reasons, including that Albert and Elva had demoted Cat, a former Risk developer who we discussed earlier that was highly controversial for allegedly sending to a minor. Cat had been banned for creating a video 3 years ago, and Saint wouldn't have this, threatening resignation if she didn't return. And he did resign.
Finally, that entire document is over. Oh great, the entire community is on fire, sound the alarms for the staff to go ban M. Oh wait, the staff joined them. That is a basic summary of what happened, but I'll provide a more detailed one. Chapter 3, Community Response. Basically, imagine the Surushan response but worse. Much worse. The chat staff had shut down General in the Discord and opened a riot channel due to the amount of chaos. There was also mass circulation of memes going around, in which some were already shown in this video. Most of the staff club riot started from this point, where Xander got demoted from chat administrator for no reason, leading to many riots in the staff club demanding free Xander. With this, many admins started to resign, with much pressure from retired staff and respected peers in staff club. Afterwards, Albert had pinged everyone in the census channel, demanding SALTBEAR to take responsibility and to respond in public. During all this, many in staff club were sharing this video I'm about to play.
Hey, it's been a while since I saw my face. I haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break. So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you, right? You guys having fun? All aboard the toxic gossip train, chatting down the tracks of misinformation. The toxic gossip train. You got one-way ticket to the manipulation station. Toxic gossip train. Time into the tracks and.
So yeah, I'll show more videos soon, but now the GIFs or memes. Most of these were posted around the Discord during all this. Enjoy this compilation of the memes I made, and then I'll go back to the videos. Well, that is most of the memes I can find in the Discord and what I have saved. Okay, now during all the riots in the Discord, many people started to get banned in game due to Risk staff going on riot and banning people. Some example include Elmcorpse, Paranoxus, Normally_Nonchalant, DUD9523, XXSKYXX21, Ultimate Ace XX, and many more examples to name a few. Alongside this, many administrators and well-known individuals were also banned during all of this, including Sir Albert Barnett, Campus Marches 2, Paranoxus, T-Pods, Quinology, Dragosandre, Gamerguy, Immortal Totem, and Spied Home, to list some examples. Now you think all of this was bad? Wait till you see the next chapter. Chapter 4, a second document has hit the dictatorship. Well, the situation got a whole lot worse. The entire chat logs have been released between Saint and SALTBEAR in a second document. This, well, led to more fury and chaos, leading to even admins abusing their commands. Afterwards, this led to massive riots on PRP, shown by the photos I'm about to show. If I can find them through all these files stored on me trusty laptop right next to me. After said riots on the main PRP server, many fled to a server on PRP in which was a Senate building, with many calling for SALTBEAR to resign and to make a constitution. Here is some photos of the event. Meanwhile, during all this, SALTBEAR was continuing to ignore the drama, with some statements only to the staff, and not the public, which many saw as an outrage and demanded answers. One player I interviewed said, quote, "I want him gone and I want answers." Another one said, "Please end this, we all just want answers." So public anger was at its max during all of this. Finally, after many hours of stalling, at current rate it was like 7 hours since Xander was demoted, SaltBear responded, stating,
"Hello everyone. The administration is aware of the crashing, griefing and other kinds of admin abuse going on, and we have been actively working on fixing it and punishing everyone involved. There has been a long-drawn conspiracy to kill and harm Risk by people who I once considered friends, by manufacturing popular outrage through lies, fabricating images to defame me, the only person who still tends to Risk, without any evidence, and impugn me on false grounds, comparing me to doxing me, all just so that they could strike against Risk and the community, their real goal, and get staff and members to grief, nuke, and admin abuse without repercussion, also that they could splinter the community. All the accusations of sheltering against me are false and were meant only as pretext to harm Risk, and whilst the damage to my reputation has already been done, the administration is actively working to impede the damage that these malefactors have attempted to inflict upon the games and the player base, and most of these grievous doxers are actively being banned and have been removed, and I will be diligently working to definitely quell these attacks as soon as is possible. I have taken responsibility for the rude words I've said, and I have apologized to those involved, but all of these false or accusations were simply a pretext to inflict harm upon Risk, and I cannot merely stand idle."
Later on, the Saltberg trials happened, done by Danis and SaltBear to clear up the air with stuff, though this has also received some backlash as well from the community, claiming SaltBear hasn't answered some questions or dodging them, while some praise him for doing it. Anyways, this drama has led to the formation of Risk Reforged, a successor group of Risk Universalis, creating their own server and game. It's currently led by HellaBlue, Xander, and Zenvox, who are currently developing the game. And now we are finally done with all that. Good gosh, that is 30 minutes of the video dedicated to all that. Hopefully it will never happen again. Now on to some new news. Does this flag remind you of anything? Yeah, looks very French. Well, it's the John Empire flag. On the 31st of December 2025, John Empire conducted mass raids on Risk, and also conducted raids during the SaltBear crisis as well. It was also reported that former senior moderator and former founder of Spoof Squad, Neptune, had joined John Empire, and has given them a bunch of outs. So yeah, real fun news as of now. Okay, what else do I need to cover before I leave? Let me think. Oh yes, Happy New Year's to everyone. It's been a long year and I wish everyone good joy this year. In a blink of an eye it will be 2027. This will be my first video for 2026, as it has taken ages to edit this video. And I do hope you enjoy. Once again, Happy New Year's and be jolly. Goodbye.